6 a.m. 6 a.m. I don't want to talk to nobody. Hey. So today is gonna look a little bit different. Yeah, I'm here in my car. I'm sitting outside of the 9 to 5 waiting for the time for me to go inside. I've been here early. It's so crazy because sometimes I'll be here early and still be late. That's kind of like my thing. Not just here, but just in general. Oh man, particularly when I don't feel like doing anything. I really be wishing I could just not do things that I don't want to do, you know. But you know, sometimes you gotta do what you gotta do when you gotta do it. But one of the things that has been on my heart is being in the heart, and I want to just talk to everybody because I know right now has been such a challenging time to stay in the heart, to move with intention, and to move from the heart. There are a lot of distractions. First of all, let me just pause for a second and acknowledge the Most High, to give all praises to the Most High, to give thanks, to give glory to the Most High. Thank you, God. Deep breaths. Deep breaths. There's a lot of different things that is happening in the world around, that are happening in the world around us. A lot of distractions in this world. And it is really, you know, I mean, some people probably got it on lock, but I know for people like myself, you know, yes, we have the tools of meditation, we have the tools of doing yoga, we have all these tools. And even still having these tools and knowing how to use these tools, having all these things, it still can sometimes be challenging. The atmosphere here, the just the energy of this place, right? I reside in America. It's very toxic. And what's interesting is that everywhere that is toxic is showing up. So like all the parts of the system in which it was built upon, you're seeing that it's that way in a lot of these systems. A lot of these systems are toxic in which they are built. A lot of the people that run these systems themselves are toxic. They're like unhealed people who are dealing with trauma and have not even dealing with trauma, have unhealed trauma, and are like little children that wants you to give them the toy because they want to play with the toy, and the toy is mine type situation. It's really crazy, and it is really challenging to stay in your heart, to move through your heart, to stay centered, right? It's one thing to practice yoga, it's one thing to practice meditation, it's one thing to do your walking and bicycling, and then there's another thing to actually act on being able to remain centered and actually utilize these tools for when you are under pressure or under distress or experiencing distress. And so I want to acknowledge that I know that there are a lot of things happening. I want to acknowledge that many of us are experiencing a lot of emotions. I want to acknowledge what is happening around us. The message that I'm constantly getting right now is to be an observer. And I for one know that it is easier said than done to be the observer versus absorbing, right? We have to observe versus absorb, right? And sometimes I feel like we're absorbing things as if life is happening to us. Rather, life is actually happening for us. And we have to really practice this overstanding, this understanding that everything that is happening for us. And we also have to practicing what we preach. We also have to practice walking to the talk. We also have to practice really allowing ourselves to remain in character, to remain in stillness. However, we must still honor our truth. We must still honor thy truth. We must still honor the truth, which means you must still advocate for yourself. You must still speak up for yourself. You must still advocate for what is right and what is true. We have this divine right and order to show up for ourselves while also having discernment and knowing when to be still, knowing when to keep our mouths closed, knowing how to move and how to strategize. I'm hearing to keep God first. Honor thyself, okay? Honoring thyself is keeping God first. Putting yourself first is putting God first. Meaning you got to serve thyself first. You have to make sure, I keep hearing like strong boundaries. Like in this season, you have to have strong boundaries. Your boundaries have to be so strong, and you have to stand on business. You have to stand on business. I'm serious. When it comes to the things that you're saying about you, you have to keep your word to you about what you're doing. Okay? And you have to mind your business. Mind thy business. Water your lawn. Focus on your garden. Keep your eyes, mind, spirit, soul on your garden. You have been given a plan. You have a plan. You have a goal. You have a vision. And it's not so much about the end goal. It's about the process, because the end goal has already been seen and sown, right? It's about moving through this process and knowing that it is already done. And with that being said, that it's already done, there is really no reason for us to worry, which sometimes we have a tendency to worry. But I do want you to understand that, again, I want to acknowledge emotions. It's a real thing. It's a real thing to feel emotions. However, let's be reminded that emotions are energy in motion. Energy in motion. Energy in motion, because we are energy and we are not necessarily the emotions. So the emotions must move through us. They have to move. And also, to move the emotions, we have to move, right? But allow yourself to feel what you feel. Feel the emotions that you're feeling. Let yourself sit with them versus suppressing emotions. We have to allow ourselves to sit with them. Okay, we have to feel them. We have to acknowledge that they exist. They think of your emotions like a child, like a young person, your inner child. Think of your emotions as that, wanting to be heard, felt, seen. And you have to allow yourself to first acknowledge that I am experiencing this emotion, regardless of what that emotion is. It's very easy to feel and acknowledge excitement and happiness, while still these are temporary emotions. Even these positive emotions, our true emotion is love, peace, stillness, right? It's like a neutral feeling of just pure bliss, just good. I'm just good. Even when things are going horrible, I'm good. But however, when we have these, not but however, I'm just going to say period there. The reality is that we have these difficult emotions, and those are the ones that really show your true test of character. These are the ones that really show if we're putting to practice the tools that we have and that we've been given to utilize, which are those negative emotions that we still too must honor and sit with and feel and address and acknowledge and allow ourselves to like really sit with that. Acknowledge that this is what I'm feeling, and then allow ourselves to sit with the feeling and feel it. Accept it, right? This is what I'm feeling. Not acceptance as in, yes, I feel this. What are you here to tell me? What are you here to show me? Because emotions are signals. Versus accepting like, oh, I gotta accept that I'm angry, I'm gonna be angry forever. No, like, no, I accept that I am feeling this way. Why am I feeling this way though? What is coming up for me? What is there for me to learn? What is this emotion here to teach me? That is what that is for. Like, you know what I'm saying? So I want us to allow ourselves to be okay with feeling negative emotions, because there is good and there is bad. But then once we acknowledge that this is what we're feeling, then we shift to like, okay, I feel that I acknowledge it, I accept it, I'm experiencing it, and now I need to let it move through me so that I can move on, versus sitting in this emotion forever. I want to just like touch on that, make sure that that's clear, that these are things that we absolutely have to acknowledge and allow ourselves to feel. So please allow yourself. One thing I love to teach, particularly my students, is that our emotions are like, especially those negative ones, particularly, and especially those negative thoughts that are going through, they are like, you ever been on the ocean or sitting on the shore, and you're on the shore, you're sitting on the sand and you're looking out to the ocean and you see the boats going by, especially the slower boats. I want you to see yourself as the observer, and I want you to see the boats as your actual thoughts or as your emotions as they pass by, right? I want you to see that like it's just an emotion for you to be the observer, meaning you're detaching yourself from the experience. Hey, you're welcome. Meaning you're detaching yourself from the experience, right? We're allowing ourselves to realize that the emotion and the thoughts, they are separate from me. They are not one and the same. In fact, all of your thoughts are not your thoughts. You know what I'm saying? Some of them are passing, and we have to learn to train ourselves that, hey, I'm separate from that, right? I am me and those thoughts are those, right? And then I'm going to observe them rather than absorb them and become one with them as if it is my identity, because that's not the case. In fact, you can retrain your thought process. You can retrain the way you think, you know, by learning to become a silent observer rather than becoming one with it. I'm detached from the experience, and that's something even myself I'm learning more and more and more to I'm learning more and more and more to detach from the emotions. And I'm being honest that sometimes it's challenging, and I want to acknowledge that. For, you know what I'm saying, like, also, like, think of our young people. Like, I had to just have this talk with my daughter. Like, I feel like this is a skill that honestly I learned coming into my adulthood. Not even coming into my adulthood, becoming fully a woman, you know what I'm saying, now today. So imagine, you know, if it took this long for a woman to develop emotional intelligence, because these skills were not taught, or it wasn't known that this was something you have to practice, or at least not even realizing that there were inner healing and things and trauma that had to be healed and to come up to surface. Imagine someone who is young experiencing trauma and trying to teach themselves. They're still learning how to even just exist in this reality. And so we all have to give compassion to ourselves and grace to ourselves. And then even, please, we have to learn to also extend that same grace and compassion to the young people, because I do feel like we can be rather, the word I'm looking for, sometimes we can be a little less considerate of what they may be possibly experiencing and feeling. I can attest to that. And so I want us to just be kind to ourselves, be kind to one another's. Like I said, I wanted to just acknowledge, like, there is a lot happening. Yes, there is a lot happening. There's so much going on. I get it. I understand. And God bless. God bless. God bless. Please keep God first. I'm going to shorten this because I got to get in there. I'll probably try to come with whatever thoughts come to my mind as I go throughout my day today. But I'm wishing you a wonderful day, and just trust the process and focus only on what you can control. You cannot control everything. That's it. We have to let go. Whatever we can control, we do. Whatever we can, we got to let go of. But if you're crying and you just are feeling like, man, this shit is like crazy, like, I feel you, and feel your feels and cry and do what you got to do, okay? And just know that it is working. On the other side, there's something going on that is working in your favor, because life does happen for us, not to us, okay? Remember that. And have a beautiful day, evening, night, whatever time of the day it is for you. All right. Peace. Sometimes you gotta just know. Sometimes you gotta there's no need to worry, no need to stress, you feel me? Trust the process. Rando subuun sarada ahande sa ahondo suumba. Rande sa dibuun siya na nakanda suusa. Diduusa na hande suusa na nabahande su.